Tired of the same old at business events? Well, this is not the same as last year. The podcast where we blow up the boring and lead the charge into the attendee-first era of business events. I'm Clare, Forestier, a business event MC obsessed with transforming audiences from passive observers into dynamic participants at events. Each week we'll challenge the conventions, share actionable tips, and hear from fellow event rebels who are mastering the engagement game. Imagine your attendees begging for more after your next event. That's the magic of prioritising their experience. Ready to ditch the dull and create corporate events your audiences will rave about? Then you've found your tribe. Join the movement. Welcome to Not the Same as Last Year. Hi everybody, welcome back to Not the Same as Last Year. I am your host for this podcast. My name is Clare Forestier and I am a business event MC. Now, I have seen a lot of different kinds of events, as you could imagine, from, electrifying, amazing ones that make you leave with just, your heart full of excitement. And then those that are pretty sleep-inducing. So I want to talk today about how you can turn your event speakers, if this is the case, not always, obviously, from droning lectury types into really engaging facilitators who really connect with their audience. Now, of course, we've all been there. The speaker is rambling on, they've got too many slides, their slides are crammed full of text. The attendees are literally falling asleep. I think we've all seen it. It's a recipe for disaster. But you can stop this happening at your event. Just a few little tweaks and you can turn it around. Today's audiences, we talk about this all the time, they crave engagement and interaction. So a one-way lecture just doesn't cut it anymore. You might be thinking, but I have real experts coming and speaking at the events I run. They're the best in their field. And I would agree with you, absolutely. Lots of speakers are amazing. And of course, they are in that position sometimes to speak at your event because they are knowledgeable. They are the experts. They have valuable expertise. But actually, as we've all learned, expertise doesn't necessarily guarantee that they are going to give a really amazing presentation. However, you can help them. They can adapt. Let's look into why encouraging a shift in speaker approach is really important now when we're doing events and we want really impactful events. Attention spans right now are at an all-time low, especially in the virtual world where attendees lose their focus so quickly. We need to grab people and we need to keep them hooked. And we've got so much going against us in terms of people's attention span because everybody looks at their phone as soon as they're bored. It is literally the first thing you do when you're thinking you're a little bit bored. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you're distracted, then you completely lose what's going on and you become even less engaged with what's going on. We also know now that passive learning is not really working. People need to be involved in what's being said, to be interacting, to be participating. So the speakers that can make that happen, that get discussions going, that pose questions to their audience and actually include what the audience says back into what they're doing, they create a much more dynamic learning experience. And of course, we know that events are more than just about information transfer from one person to another. They're all about getting connections going, building relationships, and those speakers that can help that can create this sense of us all being part of it, of all belonging, of all being part of the community of this great session. They're the ones that really leave this kind of incredible impression on attendees. Now, from my viewpoint, one of the ways that you can really help this is by having pre-event meetings with all your speakers. And as an MC, it is something that I really want to be part of my preparation, to meet all the contributors and speakers before an event, not at the event, long before the event day. Now, there are lots of reasons that this doesn't always happen. Sometimes things happen late, speakers are joining late, event organisers have got so much else on their plate. It doesn't always happen, but when it happens, it makes such a difference. It's a really vital step as an event organizer if you can get your MCs and all the participants, the contributors and the speakers together beforehand. First of all, it ensures that everybody's on the same page, because, really, for a successful event to happen, you need a really good collaborative effort. If you put us all together in a room, you get this kind of great way of us all aligning our goals and expectations. There's less risk of things being misunderstood. As an MC, I learn a lot about the contributor, their expertise, their objectives, how they like to speak, how they like to be introduced, if they want to be interrupted with questions, if they don't, all these kind of things. And it means that I can then integrate all these things about them into the way I introduce them, in the way I talked about them, the way I promote their speech if it's coming up later, and so on. And also how it fits into the whole narrative of the event, the whole kind of journey that people are going to go on in the event. And again, it makes it more cohesive and more useful to the attendees. And of course, it really should help the contributors, because if I'm well prepared and I know all about them, then I can help them before they're coming on. If I know they're nervous or they've got a point they want to raise, or if it's related to something somebody else may have said, we can help bring that all in. It means that I can understand exactly what they want. And if we've got a rapport going as well, it feels a lot more comfortable for the speaker. We've built this chemistry, which makes them a lot happier on the day. And they think, oh, we've met Claire. I know that she will ask questions at the right point. I feel happy, rather than just being told, oh, we're going to have an MC who's going to do all this. So it's really good that they've met. And it also means that I'm getting a lot more than just the standard bio that you might give me. I'm really understanding their backgrounds, and I'm really being able to help them and get it all looking better. And of course, if we've done that, we can also talk about the agenda. They can also think, oh, that might be not the right place. I could add value here. And that kind of thing gets shared back to the organisers. And it all just works a little bit better. And we iron out any logistical issues, because they always come up. I understand what they're going to need as well as the organiser. It just gives them more confidence about what they're doing. And of course, all these things, it's really important that we as contributors, everybody involved, has built a collaboration and a relationship beforehand. Because if we've all got a community going, it just works so much better when you bring the audience in. It's just like new friends coming in. We've all got something. It doesn't always happen, of course it doesn't. At loads of events, I've probably met the speaker just beforehand, but there's such a difference, as I say, when we've had the pre-conversations. It really looks and sounds better. And I've had so much feedback from event organizers saying, wow, that difference really helped. We could see how last year when we didn't do that, it was all a bit clunky and people had just met, and once you'd all made friends, it was just lovely. Everyone was in sync. And of course, the audience could see that and benefit from it. The other thing that comes up when we talk about how to make speaker sessions more engaging is around the length of a presentation, the length of a speaker session. I remember talking about this on a LinkedIn post, and I said, okay, it was a bit controversial, but the maximum amount of time a speaker should talk for at an event is 20 minutes. And the suggestion that I got from somebody who'd commented on my post was, well, that's just too short and salesy, and I think 40-minute sessions are better. Now, I stand by my statement, because I do believe that 20 minutes is the most amount of time you should talk at someone without any interaction from the other party. It's one of the reasons I try and keep my podcast really short. I think 40 minutes is absolutely fine. 60 minutes is absolutely fine, potentially, if there's proper interaction from the audience included, certainly after 20 minutes. So you want to break up a talk or a session so that it becomes a conversation from the audience, that it is something that they can get involved with, or they can share their feelings. They are included, they matter, they are more than just people staring blindly at a screen or a load of slides. So even if it's just polling them a little bit, or talking to them, or asking them some questions for them to think about, all those kind of things, that's what I'm talking about, some kind of to and fro. Now, for this to happen, organisers have got to be strict with what is expected from their contributors. I have seen guidelines sent to contributors suggesting, oh, it might be nice to keep the time, and could you avoid too many slides, and all this sort of bit of grovelling, but it doesn't really cut the mustard. Because if you want to have an engaging event, you've got to make it really an intentional part of the plan from the start. You're planning this agenda with lots of switch ups so people won't get bored, and they're going to get time for their brains to take in what they've just learned, and so on. You've made all this effort, hopefully. If your contributors and speakers don't know about this, they're not going to do that. They're just going to turn up on the day and deliver. And if you're kind of really politely asking them because they're terribly important people, and you're not really explaining to them why and what you're trying to do, an awful lot of them will be like, do you know what, I'm just going to deliver the session I did at another event. I haven't got time to do another one. Or somebody, if they're really important, somebody else is probably even preparing it for them. And so you need to stop, engage with your contributors, tell them what you're doing, make sure they're on board. You can't just blow smoke up them and say, oh, you're really amazing, we're so grateful you're coming, if you could just reduce your slides a little bit. It's just not enough. You've got to sit them down and you've got to say, we are really determined to make this event something really special from all other events from the get-go. We want you to be part of this new kind of event that is educating and entertaining, not boring and exhausting. Now, it can be hard to do that. Hence, you can use your MC, and that's often my role when I have pre-event conversations. But there are other ways to frame it. You can say, we are aiming for audience engagement every so many minutes. We really need you to do that. Please, can you be putting that in and into your slides and into your talk so that is going to happen. Again, we can help you facilitate that with an MC. If you're not happy to do it yourself, you and the MC can get together beforehand and kind of work out when those moments could be. You can poll the audience throughout the event. You know, the worst case scenario, you've got all the polling tools to use. At least people are feeling like they're getting involved. I do have some issue with that. Concern is that you don't just want to assume that they are getting loads of slides at them and then they're also being expected to stare at their phone, and that's literally the only interaction, because that can be a little bit clunky and not really effective. So you've got to use it really, really well. You can provide resources to your contributor. Here you go, we've got a video of some tips and advice for how to do this to your slide, and or we're running a couple of sessions with our MC, with our moderator, who to help you plan that. Depending on who they are and their level of seniority, they might be really, really up for that. And again, if it's quite short, people will watch it. And that's something I've done for clients beforehand, to just give it to their contributors because there's too many of them to meet, or it could be expensive, obviously, because if I'm meeting, 40 speakers at a very long 4-day event, that can be very expensive because that's my time they've got to pay for as well. I still want to meet those people, but we can do it shorter if they watch a video beforehand. Now, again, if you've got speakers who need training around this, who are really willing to take it, give it to them. Because if you say, we're determined for you to be part of this really special, exciting event, and we're going to help you do it, people are much more likely to get involved than if you just tell them they've got to do this without explaining why. So the idea behind all this is, if you really push for this collaborative idea, you make it really speaker friendly, essentially. You're doing everything you can and you're explaining to them why their sessions might be shorter. Because don't forget, I do speak to people who are very experienced speakers who get a little bit cheesed off, and they've said to me, my goodness, I'm flying all the way in to do this event and they've shrunk my session down to 20 minutes, which just seems, nuts. And it is nuts, because they could speak for longer than 20 minutes. They could be on stage for longer than 20 minutes, but you're just basically kind of limiting your exposure to them being boring by making it 20 minutes. I get that. But if you've framed it to them that you can be on stage for 60 minutes, but involve people a lot more and be more interactive, then you get more value for the money you're spending on that speaker. So it's got to be the most effective way to do it. So as I say, get that collaboration, that speaker-friendly environment, get those conversations going beforehand so that these speakers become not the one-way lecturers, but really engaging, I suppose, catalysts for people to get inspired and learn and get involved as well. So be brave, be bold with this, talk to your speakers, and then give your attendees a bloody good time at the next event. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Not the Same as Last Year. Speak to you next week. And until then, keep it engaging and keep it dynamic at all your events, and give your speakers the opportunity to make your attendees the first and most important element of your event. And there you have it. I hope you're inspired to revolutionize the attendee experience at your next event. Ready to dive deeper? Download your free guide, 5 ways to elevate your attendee experience without breaking the bank. The link is in the show notes. Subscribe to Not the Same as Last Year podcast, connect with me, Clare Forestier, on LinkedIn, or visit my YouTube channel for even more tips and insights to make your events a hit with your attendees. Don't forget to leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback is going to fuel my mission. Stay tuned next week for another episode packed with inspiring ideas and practical strategies to put your attendee first.